Hey, everybody, welcome to today's episode. Seth and I discuss the very elusive idea of rock bottom and how it can actually it can steal hope and it can really leave us quite discouraged. So, we talk about the nuances of that idea. Enjoy. Hey, everybody. Hello, hello. And hello, Seth.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. I'm doing really good. How are you?
Doing okay. I
Yeah,
wouldn't classify it as good, but I'm navigating.
nice. That's a good way to put it. I like that.
hmm
Navigating. Okay, so I've had some awesome, as they all are, awesome parents talking about this, should I call it a phenomenon? This thing we call rock bottom.
Mm,
Okay. I know what they mean, right?
okay,
There's the phrase, right? It's like, oh my goodness,
sure.
they hit rock bottom, or ooh, that was my rock bottom, or
Mm,
right. And
okay.
so if I look in my past, I personally could say, "Oh my gosh, that moment when I yelled at the kids, when a lot of people
Mm,
know that moment of mine,
hmm
and then I definitely went into a shame spiral." I would have called that my rock bottom, and it really was like a turning point for me.
There you go.
Okay.
I wanna pause for a second
Yeah.
and highlight what you just said, if that's okay.
Yeah, you bet.
It was your turning point. It was when you realized what was transpiring, your actions, your behavior was not conducive to the results that you were looking for or honoring yourself in the way that you wanted to honor yourself. So
Yeah.
it was a turning point of, I don't want to do this anymore, or
Yeah.
how I am doing this, I want to change.
Yeah. Or I literally cannot stand it anymore. Like the
Right,
pain,
right,
right, is so great, right?
right.
So, and do you look at your history
Mm.
in terms of rock bottom? Like, is that something like you think about, like,
I
that was
had
why?
I had a rock bottom. I also think that that rock bottom might not ultimately end up being my rock bottom. I don't think it is a fixed point.
Oh, right, right.
I think it can fluctuate. I think that my experience was the the worst, the bottom to a certain point in my
Yeah.
life, right?
Okay.
I also think that I have a different standard maybe of what currently is my rock bottom, or maybe even like false bottom. So I don't think that there
False
is
bottom.
a determinate, this was. I definitely had a turning point, and it definitely was a personal low for me, like terminating it
Right.
rock bottom. Yeah, it was. I mean, but I tend to view it as, number one, I don't really like the term because it enforces a negative in some ways.
Uh-huh. Sure.
So for me, it's, yeah, I had a turning point. That
Yeah.
was a personal low in my life.
Yeah, I like that, a personal low, like that's the rock bottom, right?
And I also, honestly, the reason why I have that perspective is based on my experience is in my life, in my recovery journey, as along with what I witnessed with other people. I I unfortunately have a pretty dark but maybe realistic perspective of what rock bottom is. And for me, the definition of rock bottom is, as long as I'm breathing, I haven't reached my bottom.
Oh, that is probably different than some people's
Right.
perception of what rock bottom
Because
can be.
I know that there's always the possibility that my choices potentially can lead to me not being here.
Right.
And that is the ultimate bottom.
Okay, I understand that. Yeah, I think it's a very interesting term that I don't even know where it came from, but it feels like it just kind of lingers around our field.
It
Okay.
does.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very much. Which I understand that because we're dealing
Right.
with substance abuse and addiction and mental health issues. We're dealing with a lot. And
Right.
I understand. Here's where and this is why I wanted to do a podcast on rock bottom, is because I have many parents say to me while, we're doing some coaching, they use rock bottom as, I guess, a way to sort of predict the future, if you will. So instead of looking in the
Okay.
past and looking backward and saying, oh my gosh, yeah, that was my personal low, over the last decade or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
they're using it as something like, oh my goodness, I sure hope this is rock bottom for them.
Oh, that's a false. I
Right?
mean, sorry, that's a false sense of of hope, control,
Thank
outcome.
you. Yes.
Like that's a well, it can't get any worse. Well, yeah, it can
Yes.
because here's the thing. This is not within. Gosh, sometimes it's not within your control,
Yeah.
right?
Very much
And
so.
because it's another person's behavior that you're talking about,
Exactly.
and that person's low, that person's like surrender point, the only person that can determine that is the individual.
Yes. Yes.
And so you can sit there and go, well, it can't get any worse. Well, yeah, it can.
It can.
Um,
It gives you a false sense of
hope.
control and a false sense of hope.
Yeah, because it's like, oh, well, this has got to be the bottom. Right? This has got to be a turnaround point. So you think to yourself, in some ways, it's almost like trying to predict the outcomes or control
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
outcomes. Hope out of fear, which is completely understandable,
Right.
but also maybe not objectively helpful.
That's it. Yeah. And I do think it's a bit of like a coping mechanism, right? Of
Yeah,
trying to find a way to get through,
right.
usually if it's my audience or our audience, Seth, geez Louise, been here from the beginning, our audience, then it's a way of really just like trying to figure out how to get through watching your, teen or young adult make really, really, really tough choices.
Do you think that there's maybe a little bit of an avoidance in that as well?
Absolutely. Yeah. Because what I see is it sets a child, I'll say child, teen, young adult,
Yeah,
and a parent. I feel like it sets that relationship up for missed expectations,
right.
right? Like
Because how could you possibly do anything
worse.
worse than what you
Yes.
just did?
Exactly. Like, okay, because I know parents, right? And could be literally handfuls of my clients, their kiddo is suffering from addiction and maybe they're living even outside of the home and they've sold everything they have in order to get the substances. And they're literally just squandering in their filth. They've already been kicked out of their apartment
Mhm.
and they're just waiting, for somebody to literally come and physically move them out, kind of a thing.
Right,
And
right.
that's pretty low, right? They're not on the
Oh
street
yeah,
yet.
right.
But so that's the thing. It's the parents are like, oh my gosh, it cannot get worse. This must be their rock bottom. And I I do say it, but I also am like, ooh, no, things could definitely get worse. Right. And that's a hard message to deliver, which is why I want to do it on the podcast.
Right.
So I can kind of help parents see that even though it might be a coping strategy, it
Mhm.
actually sets the relationship up for a lot more hurt and pain
Right. And discouragement,
and discouragement.
potential discouragement, or
Very
feelings
much so.
of helplessness.
Yes. Yes. And then the parents tend to hang their hat, right? Their
Mm.
hats on, oh, this must be the worst. Like there's no way he or she would do more. Like, oh my gosh, I'm sure it's going to get better. And it's just a false sense. And it's hard to watch. It's hard to see parents doing that. And I think it's because I don't really know, but like society's, term or idiom of, this rock bottom place feels very,
Well, I think sometimes the conversation
inconsistent.
also happens, right? Where it's like, hey, do you want this to be your bottom? Do you want this to be your low? Yeah, this
Oh,
sucks, right?
jeez.
But then there still isn't a change. There still isn't a shift.
Right. Cause yeah,
And so, you have this verbal agreement that isn't
Right. Doesn't mean
real.
anything. Yeah.
And
Right.
that then can be discouraging, because now my hope is, okay, there's going to be different outcomes. There's going to be a shift in looking for, and you're going to be looking for change, and you're also going to be expecting it. And that's the part, is the expectation.
Yes, that is the hardest part. Yeah,
Right.
I feel like this goes into many more avenues, or could,
Right.
in when we're trying to influence someone else, right? That's outside of ourselves, our
Mhm.
teens, our young adults, possibly a spouse or a friend or
Right.
whatever. What other people say, we should not be counting as, um, well, I like to say we should not be hanging our hat on what anyone else says. We shouldn't be putting our
Right.
expectations into someone else's hands. Like, that's something that we should be really, I think, thoughtful and aware of.
Hmm.
Is if someone says, "Oh, I'm going to quit," like, I've got to, like, this is the end. It's like, great, like, I'm all for it, but we'll see. We'll see.
Hmm.
I want to encourage you. How can I support that? Like, we want to be there and be supporting and believing. If someone says, "Oh gosh, yeah, last night that overdose, that was definitely my rock bottom." Great.
Hmm.
We'll see. Right? We want the actions to match the words,
Hmm.
not just go along with the words, which I think is kind of what you were just talking about, is
Yeah.
trying to figure out, how do we believe somebody else when they're
Right.
like telling us things like, "Oh yeah, I'm never going to do that again. Oh yeah, I totally learned my lesson." The other,
Mhm.
you know,
I mean, I said that how
right? Like, how
many
many times have you said
times?
that?
I said that so many times. Like, oh, I learned my lesson. No, I didn't.
No.
I mean, for real. No, I didn't. I mean, no,
Yeah.
for real. No, I didn't.
Thanks for
Because
saying that. Yeah.
it was, and looking back on it, it's like, even when I continued those actions, behaviors, everything else, it wasn't until I got to a place where I could reflect on it that I was actually able to learn.
Yeah. And all of those times mattered. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, they were my experience. I
yeah,
mean,
they're
it's
exactly.
what led me to where I am now. And, sometimes I wasn't ready to be done suffering. I wasn't ready to believe in myself. I wasn't ready to honor my own personal worth. And those are some really deep, very deep, um, like, core issues that I had to work on.
Yeah. Honestly, I can relate as well in my patterns of yelling,
Hmm.
right? And I would
Hmm.
think the shame that came after, right? Just like probably an addiction, I would think
Right.
I don't,
Yeah.
it's not the same, but it is relatable.
Oh, it is.
Okay, thanks. I'm just like, no, I had a real problem.
Right.
But it was so much deeper than, I don't ever want to do that again. Well, of course you don't want to ever do that again, but it's so much deeper and nuanced, and, right?
Mhm.
Because we both know actions are
Well,
not
you don't
by
know
themselves.
what is going to actually work for you yet. And when you
Yes,
haven't found what's going to work for you, it's very easy to fall back and rely upon what has, quote unquote, helped keep you safe.
exactly. Yeah, it comes down to wounds and
Right.
trauma and all this stuff.
Right. Right.
Exactly. So, yeah, it is really interesting to think about, um, yeah, just the rock bottom piece of, yeah, if you're recognizing that you're using it in order to sort of maybe try, attempt to control some kind of outcome, or
Mhm.
attempt to label perhaps,
Or
or
comfort yourself.
yes, or if it's like a comfort coping thing. Um, I think, yeah, like we're saying, it can definitely do more harm than good, because most likely there's
Hmm.
worse things that your child might be choosing, right? There's
Right.
always worse behavior to come
Right.
upon.
Right.
Right. And it's almost unfathomable until you've been there and you're like, oh no. Or you talk to people, right, who've been there. It's like, yeah, no, there's that, worse can happen.
Hmm.
Kids live on
Yeah.
these streets. They really do. And worse, and
Right.
all the things. So I know that's tough. I think that's tough news.
Well, it's
Right.
tough news. It also can be very discouraging when you think, when is this going to stop? When is this going to end? What
Yes.
is this going to, how is this going to change? Um,
Yeah. How much longer can they keep this up? That's what they
yeah,
say. How much
right,
longer?
right,
In fact, I used to ask myself that, and I would say, uh, oh, now I say, oh, that's how long that lasted. Oh, that was the turning point.
right.
Like as a reflection, I think it can actually, I don't feel like there's any harm in that necessarily. It's like your brain trying to sort things out, trying to process, trying to put things into boxes and organize. And that's what it does
Hmm.
as you reflect back.
Right.
And then it's like, no problem. But if you're using it as a prediction type of thing, then it's probably doing more harm than good.
Well, it sets you up to be very, very deflated.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Ugh, it's a tricky one.
yeah, yeah. Rock bottom is, I guess I've never really, I mean, I have thought about it, but I guess I never thought about it in this perspective.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Like I said, I get a lot of parents talking about it.
Hmm.
And I'm like, I think this needs talked about, And I don't, it's interesting because I feel like they're just like, oh, last night was awful. Something like that, right? Like last night, I
Mm.
did not think I was going to get through last night. Something
Mm.
like that. Like, wow,
Yeah,
that's really
right,
fair.
right.
Right. But that doesn't seem to have the same sort of like expectation of, oh, this is the end. Our suffering
Mm.
is now over. It's like, no, 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 no. That I'm so sorry, but I think there might be some more suffering at hand. So
Right. And nobody
that's
wants to hear that.
nobody wants to hear that
Nobody wants to think that.
or
Nobody wants
believe
to
it.
believe that.
Yeah. Anything else to offer on this subject?
I would just say, as you're in it, trying to find that space for yourself to decompress, unwind, I don't know, remove yourself
Yeah.
to gain, a little bit more of your own regulation through the process and being aware of that, because who knows, like you said, who knows when this roller coaster
Right.
is going to end.
Yeah. I also want to say actually that I feel like, yes, I could look back and think, oh yeah, that was a significant turning point. But I also, if I'm really being fair, I'm like, so many things came to fruition or added to that experience, right? So
Sure, sure,
many things.
sure.
And so this idea that there's like this one point where you turned around, maybe, but there was
It's
years
a
probably.
combination of a
Yeah.
lot of different
Yes.
factors,
Thank you. It
right?
just feels so much more complex than
It is.
hanging it on this like one point. I just don't think
Right.
it's a fair assessment or even a fair reflection. It's like, okay, yeah, that's, like at this moment, okay, that was when I remember I was fed up. I mean, I was fed up. I was fed up with my son. I was mostly fed up with me and was like, something has to change. I knew I couldn't change my son, so I started to change myself. Like, I remember that. But
And for me, it was exhaustion. Like from the
oh,
parent's point perspective, I really like the fed up. From an individual going through it perspective, it's exhaustion. Like I was exhausted, and I mean,
I can relate to that.
I mean, so I don't think I was fed up with myself, but I was absolutely exhausted. I was absolutely just worn out.
Wow. Yeah. Oh, I love that. I can see, I can relate to that. I think I can feel into that. I think that's really fair. Ugh. And it's so interesting, right? Is the difference of the individual and then the parent that's watching.
Mm-hmm.
That is an interesting place to get to exhaustion. And you can't typically do much. You can't do much, right? So you're just left to be exhausted and then to manage yourselves and right. So then you are still left with something which is
right. How you
going
show up
back
for
to
yourself.
Yeah, all your work, right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
all the work in regards to, am I doing things the way that that resonate and I believe are are honorable.
Oh, I just have to say, I think that's actually so I'm like, that feels like worth mentioning again, is when you feel like you're like, as a parent, you're at rock bottom, you can't possibly watch or stick around for one more thing. I tell you, everybody, that's when you got to start. You got to turn the light back on yourself. You got to start focusing back on you, and you've got to
Mhm.
dig back into your work. It's the only place to go. Oh, it's a hard one. Well,
Yeah. Yeah.
awesome. Well, thanks for today, Seth. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Enjoy the
Okay,
rest of your day.
thank you. Okay, take care, everybody. Bye bye.